Good evening, everyone, and Happy New Year. Welcome back. Welcome to the William J. Conboy Legislative Chambers. My name is Andrew Joyce, and I serve as chair of the Albany County Legislature. Tonight we have a public hearing on the redistricting law, followed by our monthly meeting. If you want to make comments on anything other than the redistricting law, please wait until the public forum before the monthly meeting. The governing law and our rules direct that we hold a public hearing prior to the passage of certain legislation. Our rules prohibit members of the public from questioning legislators and prohibits us from questioning you. Speakers are called in the order their names appear on the sign-up sheet. Speakers are permitted 5 minutes to express their views. If you are participating remotely, I ask that you remain muted until your name is called. We'd also like to thank the county's IT staff for all the work they've done to get us to this point and their assistance in making this all work. I ask the clerk to please call the roll.
Brewski. Bergdorf. Chapman. Clay. Cleary. Collins. Camiso. Cunningham. Demolowitz. Drake. Efacoro. Ethier. Feeney. Fine. Grimm.
Here.
Andrew Joyce.
Here.
Ray Joyce.
Here.
Cohn.
Here.
Lakakis.
Here.
Lockhart. Here. Murriello.
Here.
Mayo.
Here.
McLaughlin. McLean Lane.
Here.
Miller. O'Brien.
Here.
Hurley.
Here.
Peter.
Here.
Plosky. Reedy.
Here.
Reinhardt.
Here.
Ricard.
Present, Madam Clerk.
Simpson. Smith. Tunney.
Here.
Ward.
Here.
Whalen. Willingham. I have 35 present.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Madam Clerk, please read resolution number 580 for 2022.
Public hearing on proposed local law number Q for 2022, a local law of the County of Albany, New York, amending the Albany County Charter for the purpose of establishing legislative districts based on the 2020 census. Resolved by the County Legislature of the County of Albany that a public hearing on proposed local law number Q for 2022, a local law of the County of Albany, New York, amending the Albany County Charter for the purpose of establishing legislative districts based on the 2020 census will be held by the County Legislature in the William J. Conboy II Legislative Chambers, Albany County Courthouse, Albany, New York, at 6:30 p.m. on Monday, January 9th, 2023, and the clerk of the county legislature is directed to cause notice of such hearing to be published containing the necessary information in accordance with the applicable provisions of law. Affidavits of publication are on file in the clerk's office.
Just like to remind everyone to silence your mobile devices while people are speaking. Members cannot question speakers, and speakers cannot question members. 5 minutes each. First name on the list, please.
Warren Hamilton.
Thank you all. Protocol, whatever it is, I'm not sure. I haven't spoke here before, so thank you. My name is Warren E. Hamilton. I'm a member of the Albany County Redistricting Commission, and I was chosen by the original set of political appointees who had to start the process. My appointment to the commission was by virtue of my resume and perceived ability that I would be an asset to the process. I believe I have held my own and have made significant contributions to the process. I want to thank the county legislature and staff, including Nicole Chambers, who have provided tremendous help to our commission since we formed in October 2021. Yes, over a year ago. We've been at this, so I'm sure you all know that. My participation as a member in the commission is one of my greatest public service endeavors. I've had plenty of experience in state government in both the legislative and executive branches, and in those various roles and jobs, I saw the difference between a public servant and a politician. to be sure that distinction is alive and well in government, and that is okay today. The political process and politicians are not bad. In fact, politics and politicians are a natural part of government. And that is one of the ways that in the spirit of AmeriCorps that I have a lot of experience with, we get things done. Our Albany County Redistricting Commission and the MMD subcommittee are one prototype of an apolitical process, which was the intent of the local laws. These laws were not perfect, as nothing on this earth is, but they work well with a couple of exceptions. We're not elected politicians, and we understand the political process. However, we set about our work over a year ago under the assumption that political considerations were off the table when we were deliberating. For those who have to serve in the political and public service roles, we respect those positions. We also feel that rational minds should be accepting of our hard work, as it is the best interest of the whole county and not specific partisan, political, or special community interests. All of the aforementioned considerations and more are worthy, of course, but our primary authority and purpose was to protect due process rights, federal voting rights, and adhere to state legal mandates and local law. The first map we sent to the county legislature was our attempt to realign the districts to account for changes in the population since the last census. One big issue that had to be dealt with was the increase in the minority population in the city itself. That increased the base population so significantly that changes to the prior or former districts were required across the whole county. That first effort did not receive enough support, as some legislatures were concerned that the increase in districts from 5 to 7 actually diluted the power of minorities. The reality is that no plan will make everyone happy, so after our plan was not adopted by the legislature the first time, we went back and considered all the alternatives. The M&D once again led the effort to create the majority minority districts first, and after hearing their rationale, we largely agreed with their new maps. After considering a number of alternatives, including reducing the number of districts down to 6, the M&D ultimately approved the map that reduced our original proposal of 7 districts back to the current number of 5. This latest plan also makes these districts stronger over the current 5 and will make some people unhappy. This plan offers residents a very good chance of electing the candidate of their choice, which is our goal and hopefully is your goal as well. Since our goal was to make strong districts that would allow residents to choose their candidate of choice, it was not specifically processed for making minority candidate more electable over non-minority candidates. That approach would not be fair and would violate our charge to follow the law, not community interests or partisan concerns. Ultimately, having this process prolong itself with the possibility of court action causes unnecessary delay and runs a potential risk of more adverse effects with the possibility of the appointment of a special master by the courts. As a Hamilton, yes, I was in the room, just like the play said. And all of the Albany County Redistricting Commission and M&D members were in the room too. And we know the level of extreme work and dedication that created our plan. Our combined counsels, as well as professional mappers, also help inform the quality of our final product. I firmly believe that the redistricting plan or map that is before you is worthy of support by the majority of the county legislature. Thank you respectfully very much.
Patricia Sibilia.
Good evening, I'm Patricia Sibilia. I am an Albany County Redistricting Commissioner for hopefully just a little bit more. And I am also a League member, a League of Women Voters member. I think Warren's comments were spot on, and I'm not sure I can add all that much to them. I started working on redistricting as a member of the League of Women Voters. It was actually the first thing when I joined that I did, and I really did it right after the Pope decision. And a lot of it came from a passion, learning that it had been 3 decades that the county was sued. And we lost all 3 times, and the last case being 1.7 million. As a League member, I really worked and hard to ferret out what are best practices for independent redistricting commissions. And I worked with others in the One Person, One Vote coalition, some of whom were former plaintiffs in the Pope case. And I coordinated closely with the sponsors. There were a number of them, and they kept changing, and it was good. It was a long process. And I wanted to ensure, and I think we did have language that really ensured that what was passed was one we could all be proud of. If I recall correctly, the passage of what is now that local law was overwhelmingly supported by this legislature and seen as turning a page to a new chapter in our history. I'm hoping today we really cement that. I speak to you about the depth of the work that was done by both the MMD subcommittee, which was the harder set of work, as well as by the Redistricting Commission, how we worked together closely, and how our education on what the laws outline in terms of priorities guided us. How we valued and considered all the public input we received, as well as all the legislative feedback we got, and how we adjusted and fine-tuned the maps based on that input. There can never be a perfect map, just as there can be many correct maps. But I believe that our final map of the districts came from painstaking, detailed work, and I believe they are a solid representation of what is right for Albany County. I trust your vote tonight is for approval of them. I also really want to thank all the support that Albany County provided for the commission, particularly Nicole Chambers and the Albany County IT group, who really we put through their paces. Thank you for your time tonight.
There are no more speakers.
Is there anyone else in chambers who wishes to speak on the proposed local law Q for 2022, the proposed legislative districts? Hearing none, the public hearing on local law Q is now closed. That concludes tonight's public hearing. We will now start the January 2023 meeting of the Albany County Legislature. As always, our monthly meetings start with a period of public comment. As a reminder, our rules prohibit members of the public from questioning legislators and prohibit us from questioning you. This is your time to speak and our time to listen. Speakers will be allowed 3 minutes each. I ask everyone to please silence their cell phones. If you are participating remotely, I ask that you mute yourself until your name is called. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Beston. Here. Brewski. Burdorf.
Here.
Chapman. Here. Clay.
Here.
Clary.
Here.
Collins.
Here.
Camiso.
Here.
Cunningham.
Here.
Demolowitz. Drake. Efacoro. Ethier.
Here.
Feeney.
Here.
Fine.
Here.
Grimm.
Here.
Andrew Joyce.
Here.
Ray Joyce. Coon.
Here.
Lakakis.
Here.
Lockhart. Murriello.
Here.
Mayo.
Here.
McLaughlin. McLean Lane.
Here.
Miller.
Present.
O'Brien.
Here.
Hurley.
Here.
Peter.
Here.
Plosky. Reedy.
Here.
Reinhardt. Ricard.
Present, Madam Clerk.
Simpson.
Here.
Smith.
Here.
Tunney.
Here.
Ward.
Here.
Whalen. Willingham. 37 present.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Please read the first name.
Carol Waterman.
Tonight, I want to talk about watching our language. And I don't mean the kind of language that nobody would use here anyway, okay? It's a long-established social psychological principle that how we label things both reflects and affects how we think about them. So, for example, you know, I'm often talking about big tobacco here, but I don't refer to them as profitable corporations. I refer to them as what they are, which are serial killers. And I think it's important that we look at them that way. Okay, Genoa, the company that, you know, got the contract, and we can't forget that they are part of United Health Group, which is a very corrupt corporation. You can Google that the same as I did. And they've been sued, And among the things they've been sued for was refusing to pay for mental health care. Okay, now from now on, whenever I refer to Genoa, I will be referring to them as Genoa from United Health Group, huge corporation. Now, related to all that, Lincoln, not a huge corporation, Lincoln is not just in the community, they are part of the community. And at the last meeting, it was Mark Grimm who brought up something that Lynn Jackson, who also spoke at the meeting, brought up. She said that they called, during the time we were all being driven basically nuts about trying to get a vaccine, they called her to tell her it was in and would she please come in. Now that's not an isolated incident about Lincoln at all. They're just very helpful to everybody, and they're very important to everybody. Now, the law committee, as well as the legislature here, I know you all did what you could to get rid of the do not compete.
30 seconds.
Do not compete clause in 2 years. And I watched the law committee meeting while they were asked, the Genoa people, well, would you agree to that? And they all said, oh, yeah, sure. But then Carolyn said, really, would you put that in writing? You could visibly watch them squirm, but it is in writing now. However, okay, United Health Group has many, many high-priced lawyers, and I'm guessing that they have already started working on how to get rid of the I'll get this right, the do not compete clause. And I think they're going to be trying to figure out a way out of it. So we got to keep an eye on them. Now,
That's time, Carol.
I'm sorry.
If you want to wrap it up.
So in closing, let's all, during the 2 years going on forward, let's not forget about Lincoln Pharmacy.
Judy Reitmeyer.
Hello, I am Judy Reitmeyer, and I am the director of the Capital District Tobacco-Free Communities, which is a grant-funded program of New York State's Department of Health and the Bureau of Tobacco Control. It's been 3 years, I think, because that's COVID, that I've been here in person, so I am going to give you just a quick intro to what we're doing and what we've been working on in the last few years and where our real focus is kind of going forward. So this may be a little bit of a review for some of you and some new information for those of you that I've yet to meet. So smoking-related illnesses are still the #1 cause of death for African American community. And this, African Americans are more likely than whites to suffer and die from lung disease, heart disease, stroke, and diabetes, and is primarily due to the marketing of tobacco to the African American community. Here in Albany County, 1/3 of all Albany County tobacco retailers are located within 4 zip codes where just 12% of the county residents live. So in those 4 zip codes, half of the residents are black. So we have 1/3 of all tobacco retailers are in these 4 zip codes of 12202, 06, 07, and 10. In those communities, the tobacco industry has really aggressively marketed menthol. Menthol, as many of you probably know, is an additive to tobacco that makes it easier to start and much harder to quit. It allows for like deeper inhalation of tobacco and thus more damage and injury to low parts of the lungs. In 1953, only 5% of African Americans smoked menthol. 1953. And tobacco industry decided that that was a good market for them and started huge amounts of direct marketing to African American communities, so that after decades of that aggressive marketing, now 90% of black smokers smoke menthol. And we are, as a community organization, going to be going out again and doing some store observations and
30
being able to
seconds.
see what's, excuse me?
30 seconds.
Thank you. Are being able to see what's happening in those stores that are located throughout Albany County, but particularly in the more densely populated areas. So we are going to be around. I'm going to share, I'll probably email this to the clerk, and she can share it with you, some of that information. Thank you very much.
Zarina Jalal.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Dr. Zarina Jalal, the supervising pharmacist at Lincoln Pharmacy. In a change of pace today, I won't be talking about Genoa. I want to talk to you all about a topic that is very close to my heart, which is pharmacy access in Albany County. With the impending closure of a chain pharmacy in downtown Albany, I wanted to spend a moment to kind of explain to you how reimbursement in the Medicaid program works and why we're seeing these closures across the county. I'll start with an anecdote. Last week in my pharmacy, we were, and this kind of tells you the kind of dorks that work in my pharmacy, we were really excited to get a bottle of ADHD medication in stock. This drug has been on back order for a really long time, and with school being back in session for the year, we were just looking forward to being able to fill the medication for these kids who benefit so much from it. And so our very first claim for that medication was for a Medicaid recipient. And in order for our pharmacy to dispense that drug, we had to accept a reimbursement that was $137 below our cost. This scenario is not limited to ADHD medications, and it is not limited to Lincoln Pharmacy. It unfolds in pharmacies across the state every day. Nearly 60% of the prescriptions filled by pharmacies are actually filled below cost by the pharmacies that dispense them. Essentially, pharmacies like Lincoln all across the state are subsidizing the Medicaid program. So why is this happening and what can be done? So for the past 12 years, New York State has allowed managed care plans, which are third-party insurance companies, and their pharmacy benefit managers to control the pharmacy spend. And you know, it kind of seems obvious to us, but when has the middleman ever helped control cost? What has happened is that we have an unregulated entity, a pharmacy benefit manager, that has taken advantage of this opportunity to line their pockets. As a result, pharmacies that serve a large volume of Medicaid recipients have seen drastic drops to their reimbursement, and they cannot sustain business. The result is reduced pharmacy access, and here in Albany County, we've seen the devastating effects of such a policy as pharmacies in low-income communities across our county have closed, forcing the people who rely on Medicaid, which is really a safety net program, to travel further and wait longer at pharmacies to get their prescriptions. Pharmacies need a change in policy that affects the state Medicaid program. We need the state transition back to the state-administered pharmacy benefit, also known as fee-for-service, to take place. We've pushed for this change for years, and the state legislature approved this change unanimously in 2020, but the transition keeps getting pushed back. The current transition is scheduled to take effect April 1st, 2023, and it is essential that that change takes place without delay. I am here today because I am concerned that that transition will be delayed yet again, and more pharmacies in Albany County will close because of it. The reason for that delay is that 340B entities rely on the pharmacy spend to generate revenue.
This time.
Medicaid prescriptions are generally excluded from the revenue that 340B programs can generate, but for the past 12 years, 340B programs have exploited a loophole that has allowed them to collect revenue from the managed Medicaid plans. With this transition, that loophole will be closed. And you know, I work with a lot of 340B entities. I know that they do great work in our communities, but they've had 3 years to prepare for this transition, and they will still have the revenue generated from Medicare and commercial programs to fund their activities. Pharmacies cannot continue to sustain the Medicaid program, subsidize the Medicaid program. The fact is that this policy directly impacts pharmacy access and it needs to be fixed. I know that this body can't vote to change state law, but I hope that over the coming months, if you have the opportunity, you will engage with officials at the state level to make sure that we see the on-time transition to the Medicaid fee-for-service pharmacy benefit, as pharmacy access in Albany County depends on it. If you have constituents that are concerned about their pharmacy closing or the unbearable wait times at their pharmacy, please put them in touch with me or my colleagues at the Pharmacist Society for the State of New York. This issue is complicated. I know it's hard to understand, but we need patients. Pharmacists need patients who are willing to speak about how they are impacted by reduced pharmacy access. So thank you for your time. Have a nice night.
There are no more speakers, Chairman.
Is there anyone else in chambers who wishes to speak? Hearing none, the public forum is now closed. I'd like to call our meeting to order. I'd like to ask Mr. Peter, who brought in delicious baked goods, to lead us in the pledge. They are promptly eaten by Bill Clay. I saw him back there.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Damalis.
I'd just like to recognize a few of our members here today. For those who don't know, today is National Law Enforcement Day. We have Bill Clay, retired state police, Bob Beston, retired Warden Lee PD, Patty Carhart from Lockhart from Colony PD, and I'd like to thank our good deputies for all the great work they do for us here in Albany County.
Thank you, Mr. Damalis. I'd like to take note of additional sponsors for the clerk. There are no resolutions under previous business, so we will get directly to our current business. I'd like to take a motion to take local law Q out of order. Motion by Mr. Coons, seconded by Mr. O'Brien. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Local law Q, please.
Local law number Q for 2022, a local law of the County of Albany, New York, amending the Albany County Charter for the purpose of establishing legislative districts based on the 2020 census.
Ms. McLaughlin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would just like to rise to thank the commission for the great work that they did to get us to the point where we're voting on this tonight. I know as someone who's had experience with this at the city level, it was a different experience here at the county level. But I do want to say that I appreciate the work that they did and want them to know that to step up as citizens and to put in volunteer. A lot of people wouldn't do that or couldn't do it. And the hours that you put in over the last year, I just want to personally thank you for the work that you did and how you have contributed to the future of Albany County, the equitable future of Albany County. So I just want you to know I appreciate that. I also want to thank my colleagues who put in extra effort on this. When we started this conversation about everybody in here has been through, I guess, maybe 2, 3 redistricting processes, some at different levels and of participation. But I think as this discussion went on and on, more and more levels of participation, the level of participation increased. So I just want to thank my colleagues for their participation, especially Merton Sisterson, who inundated us all with emails, providing us with any information that we may have wanted or did want. But he made sure we had, he could not say he didn't know. You're responsible for what you know. So I want to thank you for that. And Allison McLean, I also want to thank her for the work that she put in to make sure that we all understood. Her and Merck seemed to work hand in hand in making sure this information got out to everyone, so that we had an understanding of what we were voting on tonight. I also want to thank Deputy Chair Martin Willingham for her work on this. If you didn't hear from her, then I don't, she just didn't know. But she was another one that stayed right on this, having had so much close experience in the last 3 lawsuits. So, and the sacrifices that I know she made over the years. So I just want to thank everybody for the work they've done, and I'm proud to be able to stand here and vote on this legislation in the affirmative tonight. Thank you so much. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Clay.
Mr. Chairman, I'm not going to repeat what my distinguished colleagues have already said, but I'd just like to thank Allison. We went to her home a couple of times. Merv, who I received calls 3 o'clock in the morning, he sent in and out emails on this. And thank Merv. Again, I don't want to repeat what my distinguished colleagues have already said, but thank everybody, and particularly the members of the commission. I know that was a tough job. And we can see how tough it was because in other parts of the state, in other counties, they have sent back that commission report a couple of times. So again, may I just say on behalf of the Legislative Black Caucus, we appreciate it. We thank you. Thank you for all your work. And may God continue to bless you as you have blessed all of us. Thank you.
Ms. Cunningham.
Those are hard acts to follow, but, and you really set it off, both Carolyn and Bill. But I also, you can never say thank you too many times. And in the spirit of that, I also want to thank the commission and the commissioners for their good work. As one of the authors way back when we worked on this, and we worked on the underlying local law for 2 years or so, to see the work of that come to life through the commission's work, and honestly through all of the support that the staff had provided. I remember my first public hearing when I spoke at a commission meeting, and in kind of going through the website and you know, seeing the maps and the discussion and the minutes and all of the transparency that we wrote in the local law. I think I said right after that, it was pretty cool to see all of the work that we outlined as a process come to fruition. I mean, that was kind of a cool process, and we did that, you know, 2 years ago or 3 years ago now. But the rubber really met the road when the commission sat down and did the work and did the heavy, heavy lift. And I can appreciate that you're happy to see it end, and that's because you worked so hard. So I too want to thank all of you for not just all of the work that you put into it, but for caring enough to sort of see it through to the end. And I know you thought it was the end a little bit earlier than we thought it was the end, but that was okay too. And in that process, also echo the thank yous to Allie and to Merck for their education process of really trying to peel back the curtain of, you know, how is this going to be implemented? What does it mean? Are we doing what we wanted to do when we sought out to create this? So a lot of thank yous, and they're well deserved, because I think the end result is something that we can all be proud of. So I want to thank you, the LBC, Bill, you and your work, the chair, the deputy chair, and just appreciate all of it so much. So obviously, vote yes.
Okay, if there's no, Ms. Willingham, I was waiting for you.
Real quick, January 25th, the Assembly is having hearings on the Assembly redistricting at SUNY downtown Albany. I'll provide more information, but you know, for those of you who've been watching the congressional speakership battle, we lost 4 seats in Albany, in New York State, and that probably made a marginal So as the assembly districts go, so too go our congressional districts. So people should really weigh in, and they are taking comments. But I will provide more information shortly.
Thank you. Ms. Rowland.
Thank you very much. I too rise, first of all, I just want to, before I forget, I want to thank all of the members of this legislature. Redistricting is something that if you have not been through, it's not an easy lesson to just learn. It really took the whole time that this was being worked on, people really come to understanding just how important redistricting is. You have to do with what's going to happen to your children's lives and your grandchildren's lives over the next 10 years. And it's not something that should have been ignored by not even one legislator. Whether you were satisfied with what your district looked like, it was still incumbent upon you to take an interest in what this was going to look like. Because redistricting is important as far as the dollars that we receive and how we are perceived by the rest of the state and what we deserve by our constituency. It started out, it was a rough start. It took us some years to get to the point where we even have the legislation on the commission. And so after opposing legislations from the Republicans and the Democrats, we finally came together. And so there's something to be said for that. And so we had something to work with to try to ensure that we would not be going into the courts again. We spent well over, I think, might have been close to $2 million on this last lawsuit, when it all was said and done. And we were not trying to give it up. I have to tell you that this experience for me, it just brought back really bad memories of what I went through in 2011. And so I just want to say, I do have to thank Merck. I would go see on the phone with him talking, and I also have to thank Allison. But there were times in this where, if it had not been for Andrew's leadership, there were some things that were not going to be accomplished because people were on opposing ends. And we needed a strong leader to try to bring us together to say, we got to get through this hearing and then we'll move on to the next step. So I applaud you for that because you know you dragged me kicking and screaming into that process right there because I didn't want to send the wrong message. But at the end of the day, I have to tell you, my best friend was on that commission. And we stopped speaking for a while. And that was not easy for us. This was someone who saw me through the death of my son and to bring me back up out of what I was in. This meant that much. She sits here tonight, and we have, of course, put aside all of those things, but that's just how deep and how important this whole thing was. To have opposing views and not know which way to go or not really understand or trying to get my point across to people who had no idea just how important this is to the people of Albany County, that we not go back and we not revert back and we understand what we are doing as far as representatives are concerned. I'm taking my time to say this because a lot of times we don't really study the laws that we are passing here once a month. And this is the proof that lets everyone know what you do is important, not just to the people that you serve, but the people that I serve too. We have to take control of the lives of everyone as a whole. And so, Sean, I want to thank you for stepping right up to the plate. But you've been through this with me several times. So I just want to thank everyone tonight. I'm glad that we got to this point. And I am just so, have such a sigh of relief right now that we are finally here to vote on this and to ensure that we move through this process and we will not wind up in federal court down there on Broadway, not anymore. And people can be assured that we have done the right thing because there was a lot of hard work put into this and a lot of blood. So again, I applaud you, Chairman, for leading us through this because we really wouldn't have got through to the point of even getting past the hearing if it hadn't been for you. I'll say that. So everyone tonight, thank you so much for your support and your vote on this legislation.
Okay, if there's no other comments, we do have to take the roll one more time. Council has advised me. So we'll take the roll one more time and then we'll have a long roll call on local law queue.
This is attendance, not.
Beston.
Here.
Brewski. Bergdorf.
Here.
Chapman.
Yes.
Clay.
Here.
Clary.
Here.
Collins.
Here.
Camiso.
Yes.
Cunningham.
Here.
Demolowitz.
Here.
Drake.
Yes.
Efacoro. Ethier.
Here.
Feeney.
Here.
Fine.
Here.
Graham.
Here.
Andrew Joyce.
Here.
Ray Joyce.
Here.
Kuhn.
Here.
Lakakis.
Yes.
Lockhart. Murriello.
Here.
Mayo.
Here.
McLaughlin. McLean Lane.
Here.
Miller.
Present.
O'Brien.
Here.
Purley.
Here.
Peter.
Here.
Plosky. Reedy.
Here.
Reinhardt. Ricard.
President.
Simpson.
Here.
Smith.
Here.
Tunney.
Here.
Ward.
Here.
Whalen. Willingham. 37 present.
Thank you, folks. Thank you, Madam Clerk. And now a long roll call on local law queue, please.
Beston.
In favor?
Bergdorf.
Aye.
Chapman. Clay. Clary.
Favor?
Collins.
Aye.
Camiso. Cunningham.
Yes.
Demolowitz. Drake. Ethier.
Yes.
Feeney.
Yes.
Fine.
Yes.
Grimm.
Yes.
Andrew Joyce.
Yes.
Ray Joyce.
Yes.
Kuhn.
Yes.
Lakakis.
Yes.
Lockhart.
Yes.
Murriello.
Yes.
Mayo.
Yes.
McLaughlin. McLean Lane.
Yes.
Miller.
Aye.
O'Brien.
Yes.
Purley.
Yes.
Peter.
Yes.
Plosky.
Yes.
Reedy.
Yes.
Reinhardt.
Yes.
Ricard.
Aye.
Simpson.
Here.
Smith.
Yes.
Tunney.
Yes.
Ward.
Yes.
Whalen.
Yes.
Willingham.
Yes.
Unanimous.
Local law queue passes unanimously. Again, we want to thank the members of the commission for their hard work over these many, many months. And again, we'd like to offer our thanks to the original authors and the framers of this legislation that set forth on this process, and that's Ms. Willingham, Ms. Cunningham. The most independent, politically process this county has ever seen, so well done. Congratulations. Item number 1, please.
Designation of newspapers for publication of legal notices.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Item number 1 passes unanimous. Item 2, please.
Authorizing the county director of real property tax services to approve certain applications made for correction of tax roll errors, refunds, and credits of taxes during the 2023 calendar year without prior audit by the legislature.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Resolution 2 passes unanimous. Resolution 3, please.
Public hearing on proposed local law number O for 2022, a local law of the County of Albany regarding the adoption of the Code of Albany County.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Public hearing for proposed local law number O for 2022 passes unanimous. Resolution 4, please.
Public hearing on proposed local law number L for 2022, a local law of the County of Albany creating the Albany County Nature and Historic Preserve System.
All those in favor?
Yeah.
Opposed? Mr. Demowitz?
Would you add me to the public hearing in the local law, please?
You got it. Mr. Drake? To add Mr. Demowitz and Mr. Drake. Okay, Resolution 4, the public hearing of proposed local law L for 2022 passes unanimous. Item 5, please.
Public hearing on proposed local law number A for 2023, a local law of the County of Albany enacting Section 470 of the Real Property Tax Law, providing for an exemption from county taxes for up to 10 years for the construction of buildings meeting LEED standards.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Public hearing on proposed local law number A for 2023 passes unanimous. Local law A for 2023.
Local law number A for 2023, a local law of the County of Albany enacting Section 470 of the Real Property Tax Law, providing for an exemption from county taxes for up to 10 years for the construction of buildings meeting LEED standards.
Please refer local law A for 2023 to the Law Committee and the Conservation, Sustainability, and Green Initiatives Committee. Do I have a motion to adjourn? Motion by Mr. Peters, seconded by Mr. Ricard. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Good night, everyone. Drive safe.